Was it his decision, Tone? Good morning.
Oh, we got to get right to the heart of it immediately, Kenny.
You don't want to. It's okay. I think it's depressing for you.
Depressing. 2 years in a row. Last year it was the Ken Dorsey. Was that last year? Do I get my years mixed up? That was the Ken Dorsey offense, but this year it was his offense.
He took it back.
Yeah, but now he's not going to be calling the plays.
I don't think you like talking about this at all. I think you think it. What does it matter?
Well, obviously the ramifications are interesting. Even if it may not. I saw a bunch of people yesterday determining once and for all what this means for Kevin Stefanski and his future, and I'm like, I don't think they're conducting business like that. I know that when we analyze the league and we look at situations, normally when a coach has to give up play calling, that means they're on the hot seat, and this is 2 years in a row. But obviously the messaging they continue to put out is that, this is all on Jimmy Haslam, and they're still paying the price for the Deshaun Watson move, and so everybody's going to be safe from now until eternity. So I don't know how you read any more into it than that.
I think it's wishful thinking by the fans.
It looks terrible.
I think it's wishful thinking by the fans.
It absolutely looks terrible for Stefanski because,
well, yeah, of course.
What does he do well? What can anybody say today in year 6? What can you hang your hat on if you're Kevin Stefanski?
Well, there's been things he's done well in the past. I just don't know if he does them well anymore. Like, things can get away from him.
Things change. The league changes.
Yes, management, game management at times. I think there's been times in the past where he's done a pretty good job of taking care of the entire team, managing the game, not just calling plays and trying to get yards and trying to get points. Much to people's chagrin, I have felt that way. But as of right now, when we say hot seat, again, I think it's wishful thinking. I think people believe that there needs to be somebody answering for this. When you're 5-20, there's a yearning for somebody to be held accountable. And for the fans, it feels as if nobody is being held accountable in this moment. That exactly what you said is the worst possible thing for a lot of Browns fans to hear this morning. That none of it really matters. Now, you didn't say it doesn't matter, but in so many ways, it's like, hey, he's announced this before. He didn't get let go before. Everything that they're paying some price, or that the owner is paying the price for Deshaun Watson, that they're not going anywhere. I just think that's more of the same to a lot of fans, where these are things that they don't want to hear. I think, and it's not an indictment of the fans because you're 5-20 over the last 2 years. Don't take this the wrong way. They want somebody to be held accountable for this. There's a lot of blame going around. And because there's nobody being held accountable for it, it's going to make the fans even more frustrated.
Yeah, I got more of the indications, well, not indications, I should say, but I was just feeling that if anything, they would just depart with Tommy Rees, and instead they give him the play calling duties. And what is that? What does that even mean? You know me, I'm not Mr. Play Calling guy. I don't think play call. I think it's one of the most overrated things that get talked about.
Well, play calling
from fans in general. And I saw this was so funny yesterday. So the timing was perfect. Yesterday there was that video against the Dallas Cowboys. Was it on the road where it's a double reverse and it's Odell Beckham throwing the football?
That was COVID year, yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And someone's like, oh, R.I.P. Stefanski's offense, or this used to be Stefanski's offense. I'm like, it's trick play. We ran 2 trick plays last week, and they were humiliating. Like, what are you looking for? What is the play calling difference going to be with somebody who's never called plays in the NFL?
Yeah, you either have, again, people are desperate. They want them to try anything. So when you try, you can run a lot of gadgets and things like that when you have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. as your 1 and 2. You can do those things because you can trust them. They're great football players.
But Nick Chubb is your running back.
Exactly. But you can't trust them when it's Gage Larvidan. And so when you try it, I don't like trying that sort of thing because, and it's exactly what Mike Vrabel said. Look, this could get in the weeds real quickly here. It's exactly what Mike Vrabel says. You got nothing. So once I didn't take that as a shot at Kevin Stefanski. I took that as a shot at, you guys got nothing. Once you're done with your gadget plays, you don't have enough to beat us straight up. So once you're done with your tricks, now we're just going to line up and beat you.
Do Browns fans think, because the offense isn't changing, right? We all agree on that. So just the order of the calls that you make, that's the difference. Like, think about how silly that really sounds. Like, oh, instead of running the ball on this down, Tommy Rees is going to come in and run a different play on that down or throw guys.
Well, I think that
it's not going to make a difference unless the talent is upgraded. Now, I'll say, like last week, the offensive line before the bye week, the offensive line and pass protection looked the best it's looked all year, and it still didn't mean anything.
Well, the only thing that I could probably think to say is that maybe Tommy Rees has a better grip on getting guys to do what they're more apt to do, or getting guys from point A to B better. Like, if you're asking guys to do things that they're simply not capable of, and you're running the offense, that's on you. You can only do so much. And so if you are asking, it's such a tough thing because everything's results based. I agree with you in principle about the play calling. Let me say that right now. Everything's results based. Did the play work? Well, they got 5 yards and they got a first down. Okay, it's a great play call. It's a great play call. It could have been a great play call, except if it doesn't get 5, why would they call that? Well, it all worked out well until, they actually snapped the ball and my left guard ended up slipping or something like that. I'm not using any specific example. I'm just saying there's so many times where, it's the right call. It just doesn't get executed because they're allowed to play defense and get ready for you too. So I can understand where he's coming from when it comes to play calling, the overall theory of it. However, there's certain things, when I say it doesn't make sense, I mean something totally different when it doesn't make sense. Things that I would just do differently on certain downs, certain times. That's why the play calling thing, I think it means something to a lot of different people. This would be only towards if there was a successful result, then it's going to look bad on Kevin Stefanski because you can't see what these guys are capable of. But I don't know what they're capable of. I just don't, excuse me, I don't think they're capable of much more than what they've shown. Like, I don't think that Tommy Rees is going to unlock Dillon Gabriel and all of a sudden it's going to be an air raid in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, if Dillon Gabriel can't see the field and can't progress further along the first obvious thing the defense is giving us, and you've seen a lot of that in anybody doing the film study for what the Browns are doing. Like, you have a quarterback who already had limitations, and now you're not even getting the advantage of his smarts or his experience with all the different games he had played. Like, you're getting none of those advantages, and then he doesn't even really have the mobility that people thought he had. People thought he was just going to take off and be able to run. He doesn't really seem to have that.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is the order of the plays that are going to be called? You guys explain to me why you think that would be. It kind of sounds like the people who said, well, it can't get any worse after Joe Flacco. So they're saying, well, it can't get any worse after Kevin Stefanski's play calls.
No, it can get worse.
You watch.
Oh, it can get worse.
And then what does this mean for the next guy up, the next quarterback up? Like, how do you feel? I'd love to know what the Shador people feel, how they feel about this.
Well, the only thing I'll tell you this.
Like, if you would have told them that, hey, the Cleveland Browns are going to be in total disarray, they're going to be eliminated from everything when your guy finally gets a shot, and then somebody who, I don't know anything. What do you hear about Tommy Rees? I heard he was like an up-and-coming guy in college, but now that he's calling the plays of the NFL, how would the Shador fans have felt about that?
Yeah, but anytime. Well,
I would have told you that before the year started.
I think that they would have been, if we're just talking about the fans that have dropped in as Shador fans, I think that they'd be surprised. I think any Browns fan would go, yeah, get comfortable. We've been through this many times with many other coaches before.
I think they'd probably be saying, maybe a gap year would serve our boy well. Maybe just taking the year off and restarting this thing next year would feel better.
Can you take a gap year in Canada, or does that put too much stink on you? I'm dead serious. I want to know. Can you do that as a quarterback? That might be a viable option for some out there. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing that out. There might be some Joey Aguilar in Tennessee. Maybe you want to take a gap year in Canada before you come on back down to the States and see whether or not you can hack it here in the NFL. I'm just throwing it out there, guys. Anyway, I think this can mean multiple things, but because we saw it before, I don't think you can guarantee anything. I can't guarantee that he's on the hot seat. But Daryl, I think Daryl might disagree to some level here because Daryl was on Afternoon Drive. Now, we have Daryl on Mondays at 8:20, but this was obviously made after Daryl was on with us, so Daryl was on Afternoon Drive. And he compared him to Warren Zevon. He says that Kevin is a desperate man.
Desperate move. Last year it was, I think, Kevin just throwing his hands up and basically saying, hey, y'all wanted Ken Dorsey here, so have at it. This one feels like things are just so bad. Let's try something, anything to shake it up. Not going to bench the quarterback. You can't bench any of the receivers because, quite frankly, that's all you have to work with. And so, well, what can you do to make it look like you're trying to do something here? Okay, we'll give up the play calling. Let's let Tommy Rees go ahead and handle that. So that's what that felt like to me today.
That's what Daryl said about it. Do you have any thought about Daryl saying that he's desperate? Do you think that Kevin is acting desperately?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a level of desperation. This is the one thing he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to give up his play calls. Like that's the one thing that he feels like he's made his bones in this league doing. And so, while maybe this will, and this is the argument we tried to make last year, maybe this will allow him in delegating that to focus on all the other things going on during a football game. But it's like, it's year 6. Like, you already should be accustomed to being able to handle all the challenges of being a head coach. Be kind of scary to me if all of a sudden this unlocked to Kevin Stefanski that could pay attention to everything else. Like, he gets paid a lot of money. He can't already do that.
Well, there's another thought that I have, but I'm going to wait for it maybe for 6:20 because I want to get to some people here in a second. 216-474-0092. Zagura was asked about it yesterday, about what Kevin Stefanski's role is now that he ain't calling plays again.
Yeah, he's going to have to be that CEO. He's going to have to be that master motivator. He's going to have to spend more time with the defense and say, hey, here's how maybe I would be attacking this, and something to think about if the offensive play caller is similar, comes from a similar background. So he's going to have to, be involved in everything, help special teams become a little bit more consistent. All of it. That kind of all falls under the head coach and really kind of, I think, now has more opportunity to focus on in-game management, and then outside of games, just more leadership, motivation, accountability, all of those things. And so he's obviously going to still be very involved in the design of, I would think, working collaboratively with Tommy Rees, but it just gives him an opportunity to focus, I think, on every aspect of the ball more than he would when he was still the play caller on game days.
Yeah, if I got to respectfully disagree with Nathan. If he wants to talk about game management and those type of styles, fine. The motivation, he doesn't come off as a motivator to me. The leadership and accountability thing, these are good things to say, but remember, this was a guy who was a head coach when Jadeveon Clowney had it out with players in the locker room and then continued to be on the football team until December when things really hit the fan. So when it comes to accountability, I got a long memory. I don't know if that really
he doesn't
sticks
really,
with me.
I will say, and I've had other just on a very lower level, like high school football coaches, they always can't believe. God, I got one in my ear every day. They can't believe that Stefanski never seems to bench anybody. Like if they run a wrong route or if they make some sort of gaffe. I'm like, do they do that around the NFL? And then I'll watch other NFL games. I do see guys do get kind of taken out. Like they seem to want to avoid at all costs any appearance of, we're disciplining somebody. They don't really ever do that. You notice that. The Browns lose a lot of games, but there's not a ton of discipline that they kind of come out and are forthright about. And if it does happen, you never hear about it because they don't want the media to know.
No.
And it's like, you can sometimes use the media and go public as a way to kind of get after somebody who's not doing what they're supposed to do. Because sometimes in-house stuff doesn't work.
So
sometimes guys need to be shamed and humiliated.
I'm going to tell you what I think of it, and then I'll let you guys stew on it. I think you're probably getting ready for other quarterbacks. I think you have Dylan Gabriel here. I think he wants to get a different set of eyes with Dylan Gabriel. And then I think that, if you got Tommy Rees, who has been working with the QBs, I know he's a former tight ends coach here, but who has been working with the QBs, you're getting ready to go into, I think, the young territory there with, as long as Shador's back isn't locked up. I know he didn't practice yesterday, but I think you're getting ready for other guys. It's like, Kevin really hasn't worked with him. So you're going to know more about what he's comfortable with the guy who might have been working with him. Has Tommy been working with Shador? Was Tommy working with Dylan Gabriel more than Kevin was? And maybe he's going, you know what? Maybe you're more apt to know what makes him comfortable than I am. Because you've worked with him, you may know him better. Or it is just a Hail Mary move, and this guy is days are numbered. I think the walls are closing in so many ways. I think the situation is getting away from Kevin. I think you're kind of throwing things against the wall. I wish he was trying to prove a point because, again, I don't think it's fair that he has to sit there and answer questions that are really big picture questions. That Mary Kay saying that he's the spokesman for the team during the season. it doesn't wash. And I don't care about other teams and how, well, a lot of other teams don't have the GM talk during the season. Okay, but you've done it the first 5 years. So when you do it, it becomes standard. And when you're in the middle of a bad season again, and then you don't speak to the media, and we got the trade deadline coming up today. If he wants to speak this week, that's great. It'd be great to get the general manager on the record. But when you have a head coach having to answer questions, Daryl had to ask the question, and then Daryl's like, I know this isn't your job to answer this. It's tough. It puts people in a tough position. So I wish I could say that he's proven a point going, okay, here it is. Everybody else has a chance to take a look at it. Look at what you don't have, because it probably won't get any better. But at the same time, you're not going to you shouldn't throw your own players under the bus. I think that there is such a thing as these situations just dry up after a while, and it ain't going to work. And a separation probably would be maybe best for everybody at the end of all this if it's going to this level where he just can't get a grip on it. Because the more I look at it, the more I go, I just don't think you have a grip on it right now. I don't think you have a grip on it, and you don't know where to start. So you go back to the beginning and take a look at everybody as it's going on. But the whole motivator, leadership thing that Nathan was saying, I've never really thought that about him in 6 years. I've never accused him of being that in 6 years, and I'm not going to start now. So, if you need a guy to get fire and brimstone, that's already way out the window. So his role as an executive, being the guy who oversees the game, okay, fine. But all the other stuff, that doesn't compute with me. And if it's your offense and your offense is stagnant and maybe you're wondering whether or not you don't have the right ingredients to it or you're just not doing it, okay, I guess it's okay to take a step back. But it feels as if the season is, I think the season is getting away from him. And this is a move to see whether or not they can get that back.
Well, the question
and
is,
I don't think they can.
The question is the job getting away from him then? I'm seeing the early reaction to the start of the show is, why are you guys covering for them? This was clearly dictated.
For what?
This was clearly dictated from the top. Well, if that's the case, then he's just getting fired at the end of the year, right? Why would they want to keep somebody if they have to tell him what to do?
Covering for who?
For the organization and for Stefanski. I don't really understand.
What's there to cover for Stefanski? He just gave up play calling. He's the head coach of the football team. He's won awards technically for his play calling. What do you mean I'm covering for Kevin Stefanski?
So if that is the case, then who
the hell heard that and thought that?
You guys are probably all in agreement then that he's getting fired. Why would you keep a coach? And I guess, why is he even coaching out the string? Is it because how bad it would look the rest of the year?
Because you're a head coach of a football team. You want to say you didn't quit on anything. That's why.
No,
you're getting paid to do it.
Not quitting. Not him quitting. I'm saying, why? If this is the Browns dictating this 2 years in a row, they just would have fired him, wouldn't they have?
You would think.
What's the point of keeping it?
Unless they just want somebody to be happy that they have a job, and I don't think Kevin's just happy to have a job. If that's dictated, then fine. I'll call it out for it being dictated. But I need to know if it's dictated or not. It's the second year in a row he's done it. Is he just supposed to stand there and take all of this if it's dictated? If we're talking about covering for people, wouldn't that be covering for Kevin? If it's just dictated from on high? Well, it can't be. No one would make a decision like this. It can't be Kevin. It certainly couldn't be Kevin. What does that sound like? And then if you want to talk about covering for anybody else, how could you cover for any of this? How on earth could you cover for any of this? I got last year's second round draft pick tweeting trade and then deleting the trade. What's there to cover with that? I can cover up for that? I want to know. If anybody thinks that, please be my guest, and I'll be more than happy to make you look like a fool. 216-474-0092. I don't know. I'm not looking at it. My screen is blank. I haven't looked at it all morning. But if that's the case, what you can't cover for 2 and 6. There's no cover anymore. Excuse me. You really can't cover for 5 and 20. You really can't cover for some of the worst offensive football that you've seen from 1999. What is there that you can cover for here? There's nothing. All the blankets, everything are off. Everything's exposed. 216-474. You already know the number. Kevin in Georgia, hello.
This is dysfunctional organization 101. The ship's going down. What do? You put a body out in front of you to catch the bullets. Kevin Stefanski is a punk. He doesn't know how to motivate anything. And this notion that he's a great offensive coordinator, he has never outperformed at any level. What was his offense with Nick Chubb? Oh, let's run the ball. And then when Nick starts running the ball, well, because we have a good offensive line, we'll throw a couple play-action plays. Oh, wow, that's amazing. Nobody's ever done that.
So you've never thought the offense has been successful at all?
It's never outperformed because of Kevin Stefanski's way that he calls it.
What do you mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
You have a good line. You have a good running back. You run the ball. When they start feeling the run, then you call play action and throw the ball. That is not innovative football.
What? So you want him to do things that didn't work when they were winning double-digit games and going to the playoffs? You wanted him to do something different those years?
No, but I mean,
okay. So Kevin, he did call plays right those years. I want to make sure that. So you were willing to say that. So I guess he's not a punk then in those years. So when the plays work, you're telling me when the plays work,
same thing he's doing now.
When the plays work and you have good players, Kevin's happy. When the plays don't work and you don't have good players, then I guess Kevin in Georgia believes Kevin in Cleveland is a punk.
A great coach that you say Stefanski would be able to innovate something and develop players.
I don't say that he's a great coach.
Right?
I don't claim that he's a great coach.
So
I've spent 20 minutes saying that he's not a great coach.
Well, you either get a great coach or nobody.
But you just proved my point. If you're only going to be results-based, then you're just going to call the next coach a punk, because if we still don't have the good enough players to do it, then they're all just going to be set up for you to call him a punk then, Kevin.
He buries his head in the sand and says nothing. No, he's a punk because he lets the players walk all over him and the whole season run away. That's why he's
I'm not gonna disagree with the players walking over him. I'll tell you that. I'm not going to disagree with that. But I mean, if
that's what makes him a punk. He's a bad coach because they don't win. He's a punk because he's soft.
I want you to go back on the Odyssey app and listen to what you said about your reaction, about your reasoning of how the plays were being called, and then come back to me tomorrow or the day after that, because that was as silly as it gets. If you think, like, listen, if you think running the same plays with Gage Larvidan instead of Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry is silly, I agree with you. That's desperate. That's where I totally agree with Daryl. I totally agree with him on that. It is desperate. He's been acting desperately because this is getting away from it, and there's got to be common sense to it somewhere. So there has to be something that tells you that, yeah, your job is on the line here. And everybody in the world who wants to sit there and make excuses for him, you can't continue to do that. Even some of the biggest excuse makers for the guy have started going, I'm not necessarily sure. Where's Dan Orlovsky to his defense?
Yeah.
Where's Ross?
I think
is Ross coming on today? Is Ross going to threaten the fans and say that if he gets fired, he's going to get a job next year and he's going to be a great head coach? Because, again, it all helps out each other. Like, just because we're yelling at Kevin this morning doesn't mean we don't have anything left over for Andrew Berry. Because I don't know what I would do. I mean, poor Gage Larvidan, I'm using him as an example. He's a try-hard guy. That's what he is. But I'm just using him as an example of, yeah, this is what you have. You have a dearth of any talent at your wide receiver position. You have a dearth of talent on your offensive line that's gotten old in a hurry. And these are important places. Your defensive line is finally good. You tried to supplement that one year by just signing a bunch of guys to one-year deals. That didn't go well for you. I mean, again, it's all you got the hands, the boots on the hands, and you're just trying to stomp out the mice as they run over the kitchen floor.
The one thing I would correct is that the offense this year with Joe Flacco looked nothing like the successful down the field, vertical passing game offense that they had with Flacco a few years ago. Now, we could say there are reasons why, but what is the biggest indictment, I think, this time around with Stefanski is that obviously you didn't open it up for Flacco. It did look like Flacco was washed. It was a lot of underneath stuff. And then he goes to Cincinnati, and he looks like Joe Flacco from, a few years ago when we made the playoff run. Mm-hmm. So you didn't run the same offense. Is it because you don't trust any of the pieces and parts? Then, okay, I understand that because their offensive line is not what it was 2 years ago. They certainly do not even have, even though they have some of the same weapons, it's just not remotely the same in terms of production with those guys. So I do think he has to answer to those questions. Like, why is that the way it is? Why couldn't you rekindle any of the stuff with Flacco? It's the same guy. His arm strength is identical. It's no worse than it was.
I mean, Go with this. Again, if you're just tuning in, it's not to blame one guy or the other. They're all at fault. Did you or did you not run a jet sweep, I believe? Did you run a jet sweep with Malachi Corley last 2 weeks ago? There was a Malachi Corley. He got signed to the practice squad on August 27th. Okay? That's a guy who's expected to contribute. Isaiah Bond, put him on the side of a milk carton. Okay? That's a guy that you signed for what and you give a 4-year deal to, who's expected to contribute. Again, poor Gage Larvadan just keeps getting brought up here. I feel bad just because I keep having to use him as an example. You're getting Cedric Tillman back. They're acting as if Cedric Tillman is some sort of triumphant return. A guy who can't run the right route. And wasn't able to run the right route when Joe was throwing to him 2 years ago. Right route. I mean, this is what you have. Yeah, when you got some better guys and they're with you and in your system, yeah, you're going to be able to run some things differently. So I don't expect it to be any grand change with Tommy Rees. If it is, well, yeah. Okay, then I guess he's really that much of a fuddy-duddy and really that goofy. But, I mean, you have what you have. I mean, you can cook a dinner. It'll fill you up, but it ain't going to taste good.